Part 41. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 401. As far as I know, Han Shui has two powerful maids under his command. Both are descendants of the royal family of the Hidden Empire. They are gifted and have reached the level of Immortal King. Because of this, even though the god's left hand has reached the level of Immortal King, he dare not touch the Water Alliance. However, the boss's Gan Zhongmoi is also an Immortal King, and has two 6-color immortal weapons. We have a great chance of winning. Not only a great chance of winning, in my opinion, it is simply a complete defeat. The Water Alliance is now strong only in those two Immortal Kings. Apart from that, Han Shui, Huang Mao and even Xian Ji, although they are masters with high levels, they are only Spirit Kings at most, and they are vulnerable in front of the Immortal King. Yes, if the Water Alliance did not have those two Immortal King maids, God's left hand would have taken action long ago. But God's left hand is no match for our boss now. Two Immortal Kings, two immortal weapons, who can be the enemy in the national server? The people of Aoshi have turned their hearts and no longer show mercy when they speak. As long as they wait for the Sword Emperor to give an order, they will rush over to fight the Water Alliance. At this time, the Sword Emperor was staring at the national server equipment list in a daze. Although he had handed over the Ganjiang sword and Moi sword to Ganjiang and Moi, the two were his war servants. The equipment owned by the war servants was also his. So, the Ganjiang sword and Moi sword also made it to the national server equipment list, No 2 and No 3 respectively. Amos's hero ring, a 6-color fairy weapon, unexpectedly ranks higher than the Ganjiang sword. Muddy Waters has a good thing. The Sword Emperor smiled slightly. Through the equipment list, he could not see the specific attributes of the fairy ring. However, he thought that since they were both 6-color fairy weapons, the strength should not be much different. Moreover, Ganjiang sword and Moi sword were not strong alone. They were couple swords, and they were very powerful when combined. Muddy Waters, the fairy ring, Xianyu and Longer and Alice's bloodline, I want them all. The Sword Emperor smiled confidently and muttered to himself calmly, as if he was telling a fact. Immediately, he joined forces with Fenchen Lingyun to gather the Aoshi army and attack the Water Alliance. At the same time, Yang Tiankelly swept a lot in the deep sea and finally found the Titans in a deep sea ancient city. The reason why the dwarves are called dwarves is because of their short stature. Usually, adult dwarves are only 1 to 1.2 meters tall, even a dwarf king like Carrie is only 1.5 meters tall, which is considered a dwarf compared to humans. The Titans are a race of giants, and adult Titans are at least 3 meters tall. Due to different heights, the living environment of each race is different. The dwarves live in mountain villages, and the buildings are low, making it difficult for people to step on them. The ancient city where the Titans live is extremely tall and majestic. Yang Tianklei walks on the city road lined with countless tall buildings, which makes people feel insignificant. Hey, human ants, this is not the place for you. As Yang Tianklei walked, he was soon discovered by 5 Titan guards. They shouted and blocked Yang Tianklei's 4 sides and surrounded him. Titans, although standing in human form, do not look like humans at all. They are more like strong apes or chimpanzees. They are strong and powerful, with extremely developed limbs. They have white hair on their heads, and their bodies are pitch black, with thick body hair all over their bodies, like wild beasts. 5 Titan guards, wearing breastplates, leggings, and combat boots, carry giant swords, battle axes, or war hammers on their broad shoulders. All of them are heavy weapons, about 3.5 yards high, and ordinary humans can crawl under their crotches. Yang Tian used the Eye of Truth to scan the attributes and found that the 5 Titan guards were all world lords at level 160. We Titans are the most perfect intelligent creatures in the world. It is only because of our low reproductive capacity that we have been deprived of our world dominance by you humans. Now, our tribe has moved to the deep sea and lost the ambition to rule the world, but it is definitely not a place for you humans to visit casually. The Titan guards looked at Yang Tiankelly with a ferocious look, as if they wanted to eat people. This shows how much resentment the Titans have towards humans, but the world is originally a world where the strong are respected. If the reproductive capacity is insufficient, even the strongest race will become the dust of history. However, Titans are not as good as humans, not only because of their backward reproductive ability, but also because of their technology and even hard power. The most perfect creature in the world? Don't be ridiculous. If you read history, you will know that many god-level strongmen were born in the human race, and the number of Saint King strongmen is as many as wild dogs on the roadside. What about you? Yang Tian sneered and said, "You have strong limbs and simple minds. Although each of you Titans is very strong, your upper limit is too low." Yang Tian stated a fact in a flat tone, but the 5 Titan guards gnashed their teeth in hatred. As soon as they disagreed, they picked up their weapons and besieged Yang Tian and Carrie. The positions of both sides were close to each other. Now the Titan guards once again approached the center and instantly stepped into Yang Tian's passive undercurrent. Taeju has been in service for 3 years. Yang Tian has not only reached level 170, but many common skills and passive skills have reached the maximum level of LV 100. This is inseparable from his efforts, but more importantly, he is strong, has won various first kills, explored various hidden maps, and obtained a lot of skill points. Undercurrent, TP Undercurrent both reached the maximum level. The range of the undercurrent has reached 100 yards, spreading in all directions with him as the center, with a radius of 50 yards. When the 5 Titan guards stepped into the undercurrent, gravity ripples appeared on their feet, and their speed was greatly reduced, and their actions were several beats slower. In this way, Yang Tian can easily see their coordinates and positions. Undead transformation, Netherworld Assassin. Yang Tian transformed into a dark undead, wearing a tall hat and black robe. The hideous skull face hidden under the shadow of the hat could scare a child to tears. Swish. Yang Tian started running fast, running like lightning. As he ran, the undercurrent under his feet moved with him. Because of this, it was almost impossible for the target he locked on to escape from the undercurrent. With the sound of breaking through the air, a flash of light, Yang Tian actually cut one of the Titan guards in half with one knife, dealing a 9-digit eye-catching damage. After killing a Titan guard, Yang Tian turned around and pounced on the other 4 Titan guards again. Similarly, as he moved, the undercurrent moved with him. Swish, swish, swish. Yang Tian was promoted to the Immortal King, and his damage was off the charts. All of his attacks were fatal, and each time the damage exceeded 100 million. After a few seconds, Yang Tian stopped and put away his sword. He saw the 5 Titan guards lying on the ground, turning into 10 huge pieces of meat, blood all over the ground, and a large amount of equipment, coins and materials exploded. Yang Tian didn't even look at the spoils. A lord, even a world lord, would only drop gold equipment at most. And now, he really has no interest in gold equipment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 402. It is worth mentioning that after level 150 in Taeju, the weakest monster is the Lord. The boss-like Lord in the early stage is just a mob in the later stage, and the explosion rate of gold equipment is very high. Therefore, gold equipment above level 150 has fallen to the price of cabbage. As long as players above level 150, almost everyone has a set. Nowadays, although Yang Tian has a gratifying net worth, his family background was average since he was a child and he developed a simple character. It is impossible not to pick up money. However, today's gold equipment is really cheap. For Yang Tian, picking up these things is a waste of time. I didn't expect that as a necromancer, the boss would not only have a powerful undead army, but his own combat power is also terrifying. In just a few seconds, Yang Tian killed 5 titans, and Carrie's scalp was numb as he watched. Nowadays, Yang Tian is already a level 170 immortal king. Due to the conversion of magic power, his intelligence is increased by magic attack, and his mental MP is also increased by magic attack. His basic magic attack has reached millions, plus the explosive damage and dark power, the flat slash damage exceeds 100 million. Because of the undead transformation, even if he ignored the undead army, Yang Tian was now considered a first-class strong man, and Carrie could only look up to him. If the undead army is summoned to join the war, then the existence value of Kree will be questioned. It is better to do nothing and squat in the back and be a salty fish shouting 666. The Bart fragment should be in the hands of the Titan King. Yang Tian mused. This ancient deep-sea city is actually the Titan Kingdom. It is not big, but it is not small. Instead of searching for the Titan King for a long time, it is better to kill him directly. Force it out. After making up his mind, Yang Tian began to summon the army of the undead, one after another: skeletons, zombies, vampires, mummies, black knights, a dense mass of darkness. Nowadays, Yang Tian's MP amount is as high as 6.4 million, and there is no shortage of mana. Even if he summons all the undead under his command, he still has plenty of MP. Maintaining the existence of the undead still consumes a lot of mana. But Yang Tian has the heart of the sacred tree, which automatically restores 10% of his mana every second, so he can completely withstand it. In other words, Yang Tian's power is now extremely high and has unlimited battery life. It is worth mentioning that Yang Tian has now been promoted to Immortal King. Immortal King talent, under normal conditions, automatically restores 6% of blood and mana every second. The Immortal King's talent is more effective than the Heart of the Sacred Tree, which automatically restores blood every second. But in fact, the Immortal King's talent needs to be triggered under normal conditions, that is, in a non-combat state. Even if the Immortal King is out of mana, he can just dodge away and rest for a few seconds to regain his fighting power. Rest for more than 10 seconds to return to your peak state. However, some complex and changeable battles will not give you any time to rest. Fortunately, with his super high MP and the Heart of the Sacred Tree, Yang Tian can summon the undead army with unlimited battery life. He doesn't need the Immortal King talent at all. In the past 3 years, Yang Tian has mastered most summoning skills to the full level of LV 100. The one with the highest number of summons is the Skeleton Warrior. Because of this summoning skill, Yang Tian has a TP passive number of 2000. There are 1000 skeleton mages, skeleton archers, zombies, werewolf zombies, headless horsemen, vampires, and other ordinary undead, all of which are level 170 king beasts. The number of medium undead and werewolf zombie kings is 500, which is a level 170 royal beast. The number of little devils is 1, which is a level 170 imperial beast. Increasing the level of this summoning skill will increase the HP value of the little devil and the taunt range of the devil sucker, but will not increase the number of summons of the little devil. Of course, Yang Tian would not summon the little devil easily. There are 100 high-level undead, Black Knight, Vampire Count, Ghost Assassin, and 3-headed Hell Dog. They are all level 170 sub-elves with terrifying combat power. Yang Tian waved his hand and summoned a massive army of undead. After a burst of ghostly cries and howls, they began to slaughter crazily on the city roads of Titan Kingdom. Some undead couldn't find the target to attack, so they directly destroyed the terrain and buildings, creating a smoky atmosphere. Skeleton warriors and their like are level 170 king beasts. Titan is a level 160 world lord, comparable to a level 160 king beast. In terms of attributes, the skeleton warriors and the like are not much higher than the titans. However, they are Yang Tian's summoned undead, and they will enhance Yang Tian's dark power and armor penetration. Their combat power is far higher than that of the Titans. Coupled with the numerical advantage, the Titan clan was unable to withstand the crushing force of the Black Knights and other Yealings. In a matter of seconds, the Titan Kingdom city had been extensively destroyed. Countless Titans died in battle and turned into cold corpses, with blood flowing into rivers. Yang Tiankelli stood in mid-air, watching the undead army massacre the city and destroy the country. Yang Tian looked indifferent. Carrie looked excited and his blood boiled with excitement. He never expected that the boss could turn the powerful Titan kingdom into the state with his own efforts. He was so strong. Carrie was extremely lucky. He once thought that his decision to embrace Yang Tian was so wise and correct. Elder, you are really old and your vision is too poor. You don't know how scary my big brother is. Carrie secretly sighed, such a powerful Titan kingdom, with our downtrodden dwarves, may not be able to shake it for 100 years, but who knew that my eldest brother could challenge the Titan kingdom alone, avenge us, and wash away our shame. In the 5-minute battle, a small number of the undead army died. In contrast, the Titan kingdom fell apart, the city collapsed, and more than 90% of the Titan clan members were killed or injured. After 5 minutes, the remaining undead army on the battlefield turned into white light and dissipated. Even if the summoned creatures did not die, they could only exist for 5 minutes at most. Of course, Yang Tian's many summoning skills only had a cooldown of 5 minutes. In other words, when the undead dissipated, his summoning skills were just cooled down, and he could perform a second summon at any time. So many Titans have been killed, and the city has collapsed. Why hasn't the Titan King appeared yet? Is he scared, or is my slaughter progress too fast? Yang Tian lowered his eyes and looked at the ruined city, muttering to himself. As soon as Yang Tian finished speaking, 6 streams of light shot out from the huge building of the fortress on the horizon, breaking through the air and rushing over. The 6 streams of light flew at an extremely fast speed. The moment before, only the light spots could be seen, but now the whole picture could be seen. It turned out that 6 Titans broke through the air. The Titan in the center was extremely large, probably 5 meters tall, and as strong as a giant. He was as strong as a beast, wearing dark gold armor, with golden hair standing up, and with that big and ferocious face, he looked even more majestic. He was carrying a heavy hammer, which was extremely large and unique in shape. Yang Tiankelli took a look and saw that the heavy hammer was the Bart hammer. Bart hammer was the weapon of the dwarf king Bart, a 3-color spiritual weapon with extremely powerful properties. When Bart died in battle, Bart hammer was divided into 4 fragments. The dwarves only kept 1, and the other 3 were looted by the Titans. Obviously, the huge guy who was 5 meters tall was the Titan King, and the weapon in his hand was the Bart hammer that was a combination of 3 fragments. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 403. Yang Tian and Carrie stood in mid-air on the floating clouds. Yang Tian was about 1.8 meters tall, with a tall and thin figure. Carrie was 1.5 meters tall, only reaching Yang Tian's chest, but he was very burly, with one arm as thick as Yang Tian's thigh, full of strength. In particular, he was carrying a 3-meter-long heavy hammer, which made him even more extraordinary. In a flash, the Titan King rushed over with the other 5 Titans, standing opposite Yang Tian and Carrie. The Titan King was the tallest, with 6 color gems lingering around him, golden hair fluttering, and carrying the Bart warhammer. The other 5 Titans were obviously smaller than the Titan King, but much taller than the average Titans, about 4 meters tall, with silver hair, black faces, extremely strong, and 3 color gems lingering around them. I wondered who it was. It turned out to be the new generation of Dwarf King. The Titan King stared at Carrie and laughed like thunder. Carrie was the new generation of Dwarf King, with blonde hair, and a little golden stubble on his chin this year. He was strong and had an astonishing height of 1.5 meters. This height is unmatched among the dwarves. From the appearance, it is no different from humans. After all, there are short and strong men among humans. However, King Titan has dealt with the dwarves many times and recognized Carrie's identity at a glance. In fact, even if King Titan is forgetful and his old eyes are blurry and he doesn't recognize Carrie, he will definitely recognize the Bart hammer. The Dwarf King, the king of a clan, is just a mere spirit king. The dwarves are really lowly and are all ants. King Titan stared at Carrie and sneered, "To the extent that you want revenge, you still have to rely on human hands. It's really shameful. If Bart knows about it, he will probably be so angry that he will crawl out of his grave." Ha ha ha, King Titan's words made the 5 titans laugh out loud, and the sound was like thunder exploding in the sky. Carrie's face flushed and was full of shame. As the king of the dwarves, he couldn't take revenge himself. Now being laughed at by others does hurt his self-esteem. But the world is cruel and ruthless, and the strong are respected. The titans are too powerful and are not on the same level as the dwarves. It is wishful thinking for him to take revenge with his own hands. Thinking of this, he felt relieved. "Humph, you are a coward." Seeing that Carrie could even bear such humiliation, the Titan King snorted coldly, and his devilish eyes swept towards Yang Tian. Just a glance, the Titan King's eyes twitched wildly. "Bastard, he actually slaughtered 90% of my people in just a few minutes. Damn human, you are being heroic. No matter what, I will make you pay with blood today," the Titan King roared wildly, and his eyes made him want to cut Yang Tian into pieces. Immediately, he waved his hand and ordered his men, "Go, cut him into pieces for me, and cut off his flesh piece by piece to feed the dogs." The 5 titans moved as soon as they heard the words, and they all picked up heavy weapons and attacked Yang Tian. As they attacked, they were involuntarily caught in Yang Tian's undercurrent, and their speed was greatly reduced. "Carrie, hurry up, leave this to me," Yang Tian shouted. Carrie showed a look of struggle, but when he thought about his low strength, he would not only make no contribution if he stayed, but would become a hindrance. He couldn't help but laugh miserably and retreated backwards. Bang bang bang. Carrie had just retreated to the safe area when the attacks of the 5 titans hit Yang Tian crazily, exploding brilliant sparks. "Titan King," the 5 titans kept sneering. They felt that Yang Tian was too jumpy and impulsive. A mere human could withstand the group attack of 5 spirit kings. However, unlike what they imagined, Yang Tian was unscathed. I saw a hard bone shield emerge from Yang Tian's body at some point, and the bone shield radiated a glass light, which had a taste of indestructibility. Previously, it was the bone shield that took the damage from the 5 spirit kings on behalf of Yang Tian. Despite such terrible damage, the glazed bone shield did not collapse, but only had a few gaps. The strength of the bone shield depends on the level of the bone shield skill and the user's basic magic attack. Yang Tian's bone shield has already reached the maximum level of LV 100. As for the basic magic attack, it is unimaginably high. Because of the magic power conversion, his basic magic attack is far higher than that of ordinary immortal kings. The life thickness of his bone shield reaches 6 billion plus. In the current version, the player's life is strengthened. You know, Yang Tian is a level 170 immortal king, and his HP is only more than 20 million, but the bone shield has a life thickness of more than 6 billion, which is terrifying. With such a hard glazed bone shield to help bear the damage, Yang Tian was naturally unscathed. Not only that, when he was attacked, the passive of Amos's hero ring was triggered, reflecting the spider web, and binding the 5 titans who were attacking crazily. Binding means restricting movement. Seeing this, Yang Tian stepped back a few steps on the cloud and left the attack range of the 5 titans. The next moment, the 5 titans could no longer touch the corner of Yang Tian's clothes, and they danced there like fools. Hiss, that guy is so powerful. Facing the attack of 5 spirit kings, I would be a little overwhelmed, but he can be so unscathed, Titan King gasped and was amazed. Undead summoning, Immortal King Nether Assassin. Undead transformation, Nether Assassin. While Titan King was amazed, Yang Tian completed a series of operations, and then 2 Nether Assassins appeared in front of the enemy, and both were at the level of Immortal King. Oh no, this damned human is actually a Fairy King level Necromancer. Titan King was even more amazed, but before he could make any move, Yang Tian had already made a move. Demon subduing net. Yang Tian suddenly stretched out his hand, and a huge net flew out, trapping Titan King and the 5 Spirit King Titans, making them unable to move. Yang Tian stretched out his hand and pulled, and 6 huge figures overlapped in the giant net, and were forcibly pulled in front of Yang Tian, the Fairy King and the Netherworld Assassin. Throat slashing. 280-040-3022. 430-940-3020. Heart piercing. 339-202-1011. 590-300-2200. Stun. Backstab. 6 titans overlapped, because Titan King was the largest. On the surface it was the form of Titan King, but in fact all the other 5 Titan Spirit Kings were included in it. Yang Tian and the Immortal King Nether Assassin attacked together crazily, and blood gushed out. Every time the 2 attacked, they would cause a series of explosive damage. Swish. The 5 Titan Spirit Kings were already dead, and their huge bodies fell from the sky, exploding a large area of equipment, coins, and materials. Ah, I don't want to die. Human, we Titans live in seclusion in the deep sea, and we have no grudges against you. You can't kill me, please don't kill me. The Titan King is an immortal king after all, and his life level is far higher than that of the Spirit King. When the demon net disappeared, the Titan King got rid of control, and at this time his blood bar was about half left. The Titans were powerful, and his warhammer swept away, causing a muffled sound, and both Yang Tian and the Immortal King Nether Assassin retreated several steps. However, he did not dare to take the opportunity to fight again, but turned around and ran away. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 404. Titan King's face was full of fear. He ran away and begged for mercy incoherently. Success makes you a king, and failure makes you a bandit. I don't need a reason to kill you. What's more, when you led your troops to attack the dwarves and killed the dwarf king Bart, I'm afraid you didn't pay attention to other people's pleas for mercy. Yang Tian smiled coldly, and the Fairy King and the Netherworld Assassin rushed out and chased the Titan King to attack. Summon the undead. Yang Tian no longer did it himself, but summoned the undead, summoning the Black Knight, the Netherworld Assassin, the Vampire Earl, and the Hell Three-Headed Dog, which were all 100 sub-spirits. Although the sub-spirits were not as good as the Spirit King, they also had the ability to fly. So, 400 sub-spirits rushed up, together with the Fairy King and the Netherworld Assassin, and besieged the Titan King crazily. The endless strong attack made the Titan King fall into a cycle of stiffness, motionless, bleeding all over, and his HP dropped wildly. In just a few seconds, Yang Tian didn't even release the Dark Fire Domain, and the Titan King had already fallen on the battlefield, exploding a large number of items, and fell down with the heavy corpse. Boom! With a loud bang, the Titan King's body smashed on the city street, cracking and exploding around it, dust flying, and thick smoke billowing. At this moment, the fall of the Titan dynasty was announced. Perhaps the Titans are still alive and have escaped, but in this cruel world, they want to rise again. I'm afraid it will be the next era. Yang Tian waved his hand and dispersed the undead. Immediately called Carrie, and the two landed together to clean up the spoils of the Titan King and the 5 Titan undead. A moment later, Carrie got the real Bart Warhammer as he wished. Bart Warhammer, 3 colors. Level 120. Equipment type, Warhammer. Basic physical attack add 1.5 million. Strength add 250,000. Physical strength add 1.5 million. Additional passive, attack speed minus 80%. Reduced attack speed by 5 times. Additional passive, Immortal King or above users, attack speed add 30%. Additional passive, when attacking normally, there is a 100% chance to stun the enemy for 1 second. Additional passive, when attacking with skills, there is a 50% chance to stun the enemy for 1 second. Additional passive, when using skills with additional stun probability, increase its probability to 100%. Equipment introduction, an extremely heavy weapon that can inadvertently hit the enemy and make them see stars. Yang Tian got 1 part of the Immortal King bloodline and 5 parts of the Spirit King bloodline. Besides that, there is no other good stuff. So don't look at the Spirit King and the Immortal King, each of them is powerful and majestic, but in fact they are all poor. Few people can take out a spiritual weapon. In fact, it's not their fault that they are poor, because in the setting of Taegzu, weapons and equipment above the spiritual weapon are very rare, and each one is a rare treasure. Not to mention the Spirit King and the Immortal King, even if it is a god, it is quite good to have 1 or 2 spiritual weapons in hand. In his previous life, Yang Tian was a god-level assassin, and he only had a spiritual dagger in his hand, and he was very poor. At that time, other god-level players were the same as him, and they didn't have many decent weapons and equipment. Of course, Yang Tian has such a high starting point in this life, and has infinite possibilities. It's hard to say what the future holds. Carrie Yang Tian called out, and suddenly took out the Titan King's Immortal King bloodline and handed it to Carrie. Carrie was stunned, but shook his head and didn't accept it. He, Yang Tian smiled and said, I knew you wouldn't want it. There is a blood feud between the dwarves and the titans, so how could you use the bloodline of your enemies? Carrie shook his head again and said, not only that, even if it's the bloodline of other immortal kings and saint kings, I won't want any of them. I, Carrie, am a dwarf once, and I'll be a dwarf all my life. Dwarves, titans, and the real human race can only be regarded as subhumans at best. They have exclusive bloodlines, while humans don't. They devour the superior blood, like wild animals, and evolve. After the evolution is successful, it will be another race. As the king of the dwarves, Carrie will not abandon his own race even if he wants to become stronger. The dwarves have hope of rising. Facing Carrie's insistence, Yang Tian nodded, thinking that if Carrie refused to accept the superior blood, then Carrie should accept the fairy energy and holy light. Spiritual blood corresponds to spiritual essence. Fairy blood corresponds to fairy energy. Holy blood corresponds to holy light. But in fact, blood is higher than those substances. The owner of spiritual blood devours fairy energy and is promoted to fairy king. The original spiritual blood evolves into the same type of fairy blood. Of course, Yang Tian just thought so. Now he has no fairy energy, holy light, or the like. Carrie, what are your plans next? The blood feud has been avenged and the Bart Warhammer has been taken back. Will you return to the dwarves or continue to follow me? Yang Tian suddenly asked. At the beginning, Yang Tian signed a master-servant contract with Carrie and accepted him as a war servant just for convenience. The two sides are actually equal. Yang Tian doesn't like to force others, especially his friends. I'm still young and want to continue my training. Carrie said immediately, brother, my strength is low now, and I can't help you more and more, but as long as you don't despise me, I will follow you like a cow or a horse. Yes, Yang Tian nodded. Nowadays, Yang Tian has risen strongly, and Carrie's level of combat power can be said to be negligible. But he is definitely not a ruthless person. He will not despise the weak ones like the Snow Wolf King Ziobai and the Thunder Leopard, let alone Carrie. After all, Ziobai, Benlibeo, and Carrie had all been helped by those guys in the early stage, so he didn't dare to abandon them. If you follow me, I will try my best to help you become stronger, but you have to think about it. Following me is at least much more dangerous than enjoying the good life in the dwarves, Yang Tian reminded him at last. If one day, I really die in battle, I will ask my brother to bury me back to the dwarves. Carrie smiled. It was a simple sentence, but it contained great determination. Seeing this, Yang Tian finally stopped talking. At this time, he suddenly glanced at the message bar and refreshed a lot of information. Water Alliance, System Prompt Aoshi Guild has now left the Water Alliance. In the Sea of Ruins, countless players were restless on the island occupied by the Water Alliance. The Alliance is higher than the Guild, because the Alliance represents the combination of at least two guilds. The many teleportation arrays on the island belong to the Alliance assets. The four major guilds under the Water Alliance, the Navy, the God of Fury, the Demon God, and the Goddess Temple, can be used by all players. When Aoshi left the Water Alliance, Aoshi players could no longer use the Water Alliance teleportation array. However, Jian Huang was smart. He first teleported Aoshi's army here before he took Aoshi out of the Water Alliance, and finally used the resources of the Water Alliance. Through the system message, all the online players of the Water Alliance knew the news of Aoshi's departure. On the island, the two armies faced each other, and the situation was tense. Anyone with a discerning eye could see that Jian Huang and his people had bad intentions. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 405. What's going on? Aoshi left the Water Alliance. Is the Sword Emperor going to rebel? Obviously, the proud army has gathered together. Judging from their arrogance, they are ready to fight. I really don't know where they get their confidence. They don't take my brother Shui seriously. Everyone, take a look at the list of national costumes. Brother Shui is still number 1, but the Sword Emperor alone ranks 2nd and 3rd, and the General Sword Moxie Sword. Both are 6-color immortal weapons. No wonder he dares to do such a jump. There was a commotion within Shui Meng. They had never eaten pork, but saw pigs running away. Although everyone has never owned an immortal weapon, or even seen the power of an immortal weapon, but just the words 6-color immortal weapon are enough to make them feel in awe. You've endured it for a year or two, Sword Emperor, but you finally can't bear it anymore. In the center of the Water Alliance, Huang Mao stepped forward and stared at the Sword Emperor and laughed. On his left and right, there were Xianyu and Longer and Alice, and next to them were Suange and Chuangro. They were all core members of the Water Alliance, top-notch strong men. While everyone was staring at the Sword Emperor, they were also looking at the man and woman beside the Sword Emperor. The man was wild and masculine, while the woman was cold and evil. At first glance, they were not ordinary people. Yeah, I've been waiting for such a long time without realizing it. That's why I can't wait to trample you under my feet now that things have happened. The Sword Emperor doesn't need to be conceited and just opens the skylight and speaks frankly. You are very confident. Where are you relying on? 2 immortal weapons alone should not be enough to give you such courage. Huang Mao tried his hand. From the beginning to the end, his eyes were fixed on General Moi. Although he couldn't see anything, some intuition told him that those 2 people should be immortal kings. The Sword Emperor smiled, and immediately, General Mocia no longer suppressed himself, and the 6-colored treasure light lingered upward, arousing strong pressure. In an instant, everyone in the Water Alliance began to boil like a cauldron of oil. Servant of the Immortal King. The Sword Emperor is so lucky that he subdued 2 of the Immortal King's younger brothers. Mess. Xianyuan and Alice are both immortal kings. Our core combat strength is not inferior to that of Aishi, but they have two immortal weapons. There is no doubt that the strong rise of the Sword Emperor has put pressure on the Water Alliance army. In recent years, Yang Tian Shenlong has been wagging his tail and rarely manages the affairs of the Water League. Nowadays, they don't know about Yang Tian's strength and trump card, and they don't even know about Huang Mao and Xian Ji's promotion to Immortal King. Yang Tian Huang Mao is a celebrity on the national server level list. Unfortunately, the level list only shows the level, not the rank. Everyone was kept in the dark, and because of this, they felt the pressure of the Sword Emperor's arrogance and became panicked. Sure enough, compared to the Water Alliance army that exploded into a pot, Huang Mao, Xianyuan Long Alice and others were very calm, with no fluctuations in their faces. Two immortal kings, two immortal weapons, no wonder you dare to rebel. Huang Mao suddenly smiled and said, "It's just that your wolf ambition has been discovered by us a long time ago. Don't you feel that the Water League has deliberately isolated you from the world over the past year? Now, you know nothing about the Water League's background." No. After finishing speaking, Huang Mao was surrounded by six-colored precious light. At this moment, it caused an uproar among the people in the Water Alliance. "Boss Huang Mao, when did you become the Immortal King? If you say that, Brother Shui also." Everyone in the Water Alliance was overjoyed. Why was Huang Mao promoted to the Immortal King? Where did his immortal bloodline or immortal energy come from? The answer is Xianyuan Long. A few days ago, Yang Tianlong killed the Lord of Thunder Dragon City and successfully gained the trust of Hidden Dragon. Xianyuan Long obtained 11 copies of the original dragon's bloodline. Putting aside the dragon bloodline given to Yang Tian, the 5 bloodlines that evolved into the 5 original dragons, Xianyuan Long still has 5 bloodlines left, 1 saint, 1 immortal, and 3 spirits. As a descendant of the Shenlong Empire's royal family and the future queen of the Shenlong Empire, Xianyuan Long urgently needs to use these 5 original dragon bloodlines to cultivate confidence. Unfortunately, she has no confidence under her command. She is in a bad situation, let alone confidence. She herself became Yang Tian's servant. She had no choice but to transfer 5 pieces of blood to Yang Tian for control. As a result, Huang Mao got the blood of the Holy Dragon, Xian Ji got the blood of the Immortal Dragon, Shuangro, Haoshan and Qin Yu got the blood of the Spiritual Dragon. After the two sides of Water League Aoshi revealed each other's trump cards, Water League's lineup had an overwhelming advantage. Huang Mao, Xian Ji, Xianyuan Long Alice, the 4 immortal kings. Xiao Fei, Xiao Jian, Dr. Edith, Shuangro, Haoshan, Qin Yu, Lang Ling, nearly 10 spirit kings. Many powerful people gathered together, surrounded by colorful lights, which were more brilliant than the rainbow in the sky. Damn it, the Water Alliance is so powerful. Water Alliance 666. Them, beat the proud dog's head. The entire Water Alliance army was trembling with excitement. Only then did they realize how terrifying the Water Alliance was. On the other side, the proud army was collectively sluggish, their faces pale, and they didn't know what to do. "Boss, this." Fen Tian swallowed hard and looked at the Sword Emperor with solemn eyes. At this time, the Sword Emperor also frowned, and after a long time, he sighed. He knew that the Water Alliance had such a foundation, all of which came from Yang Tian's hands. In fact, after following Yang Tian for a year or two, he gradually lost himself and was deeply impressed. Regardless of Yang Tian's strength, brains, courage, or even luck, he deeply admired him. In his opinion, Yang Tian is simply the kingly male protagonist in bloody TV dramas, capable of anything. Otherwise, he himself has the ambition to dominate the world, and he is even willing to dance with Yang Tian. What kind of person is this guy Han Shui? I, the Sword Emperor, have such an opponent. I am not in vain in my life, the Sword Emperor sighed, and a rare smile appeared on his face. Boss, what should we do now? Do we still fight? Seeing that the Sword Emperor was a little distracted, the anxious Fenchen hurriedly urged. Fight? Don't worry, I have a chance of winning. As soon as the words changed, the smile on the Sword Emperor's face disappeared completely, and he returned to his previous coldness. Kill. The two armies, which were suppressed by many, started the war. Ganjiang and Moi were the core of Aoshi's tactics. At this moment, under the command of the Sword Emperor, the two rushed into the enemy group at a high speed and swept wildly with swords. In an instant, hundreds of people from the Water Alliance were killed, and each damage was billions of explosive damage, which was terrifying. Damn, what kind of damage is that? The yellow-haired man was the first to speak and cursed. As Immortal Kings, the only disadvantage of player Immortal Kings is HP compared to NPC Immortal Kings and Immortal Beasts. Their combat power and speed should be equal. However, Huang Mao found that Ganjiang and Mo's damage was off the charts. In terms of damage alone, they were not at the level of Immortal Kings at all. Billions of damages, not to mention me, even that guy can't do it. Looking at Ganjiang and Mo's slaughtering figure, the dazzling damage, Huang Mao felt his scalp tingling. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 406. The Water Alliance is the top power in the current national server, and every elite in it can stand out on their own. At this stage, dominated by the Immortal King and the Spirit King, it is indeed difficult for ordinary players to perform well, but it does not mean that they are weak. Especially the elites of the Water Alliance, who have long occupied the best resources in the national server, are ahead in level equipment, have strong combat power, and are not weak in defense resistance. Ganjiang and Mo, can they attack such people with hundreds of millions of hits? Huang Mao felt that his brain cells were not enough and he could not understand it at all, because even he, when attacking the elites of the Water Alliance, could only attack tens of millions of hits at most. Xiao Long, look carefully, they are all dual attribute attacks, Xianji said calmly with a serious face. Huang Mao was startled and looked at it intently. Sure enough, when Ganjiang swung his sword, two red and white lights appeared, representing the fire attribute and light attribute respectively. When Mo swung his sword, two blue and dark lights appeared, representing the ice attribute and dark attribute respectively. Dual attributes? It turns out that it really exists. This is the first time I have seen it, Huang Mao said in a daze. There are three kinds of existences that produce attribute attacks in Taixu. First, some monsters are born with certain attribute attacks. Second, some weapons are born with additional attribute attacks. Third, attribute crystals, which are embedded in weapons to add corresponding attribute attacks. Huang Mao has always had a leaping mind. He once tried to embed a fire attribute crystal in an ice attribute knight's dagger, trying to create a weapon with both ice and fire attributes. As a result, the embedding was successful. However, the ice attribute knight's dagger was covered by the fire attribute, so that it lost its original ice attribute. At that time, he was not hit by the failure, but laughed at himself. Task, fortunately it failed. If it really made a dual attribute weapon, it would be too perverted. Now that he has seen the dual attribute attack owner with his own eyes, and there are two of them, you can imagine his inner twitching. The Sword Emperor obtained the Ganjiang sword and the Moi sword, and at the same time subdued two war servants, one male and one female. The immortal weapon corresponds to the Immortal King. From the perspective of probability, the chance of this series of coincidences is almost zero, so I have reason to believe that the two are the legendary Ganjiang and Moi themselves. From all the legends, it can be known that Ganjiang and Moi are lovers. Based on this, Xiaolong, pay attention to their positions. The distance between the two sides is never more than 10 yards, Xianji said continuously. So what? Huang Mao disagreed, but he knew that when Xianji's IQ was soaring, it would make people doubt that they were hopeless fools. Even though they were brothers, Huang Mao had doubted his IQ countless times along the way. So, even if what the elder brother said now was a little nonsense, he still remembered it in his heart and used it as a benchmark to continue observing Ganjiang and Moi. That kind of position has a sense of mutual care, but why should the immortal king take care of ordinary players when attacking? It's simply a one-sided massacre, Xianji continued. What do you want to say? You also know that dual attribute perversion, even if it is so perverted, there must be some limitations, Xianji said. I have reason to suspect that the Ganjiang sword and Moye sword have the special effect of a couple sword. When the two swords merge, the two swords must be within a certain range to trigger dual attribute attacks. At least if I were the designer, I would set it this way. The yellow-haired man was stunned when he heard this, and it seemed as if an electric current flashed through his mind. Although this was just Xianji's speculation, the yellow-haired man completely believed it. Because, after Xianji opened his mouth, the yellow-haired man could not think, and his thoughts were once led away, so that he could not find any reason to refute it now. In addition, he also fully believed in his brother's IQ. You are worthy of you, a genius who was delayed by games. Brother, if you had given up games earlier and focused on academic research, I am afraid that our Huang family would have been prosperous long ago. In that case, Yang Tian would not have to work so hard every day, and we can just give him some money to spend. The yellow-haired man rolled his eyes and said. He admired Xianji very much, and as a brother, he was a little jealous of Xianji. Damn it, you are born of the same mother, why do you have a higher IQ? I played games before because you played, and I wanted to train you. Now, cough, I'm addicted. Xianji also rolled his eyes and said nonsense. As a true genius, games, or other digital things, are very simple and boring in his eyes. Addiction. It doesn't exist at all. Xianji once thought that the game was boring, but now, he does have the motivation to keep playing. Even Huang Mao didn't know, but he knew the existence of the awakened. Yang Tian used the power of the awakened to use the ability in the game in reality to free him from the pain of cancer. He saved his life, and at the same time, he was very curious about everything that would happen in the future. Okay, stop talking nonsense, the Water Alliance is a bit difficult this time, Xianji suddenly said. Yeah. Huang Mao nodded seriously. Xianji analyzed it to this extent for him, and he could analyze it himself next. Ganjiang and Moi are invincible. On the Shuimeng side, although there are 4 immortal kings, Huang Mao, Xianji, Xianyuan Long and Alice, Huang Mao Xianji is a player. Player immortal kings have HP of about 20 million. NPC immortal kings have HP of over 100 billion. They are not in the same league at all. Although their attack power and speed are equal, you, as a player, cannot kill an NPC immortal king, and the NPC immortal king can easily kill you. Especially, because of the existence of the couple sword effect, facing Ganjiang and Moi, although Huang Mao Xianji is an immortal king, he is no different from cannon fodder. If he is slightly touched, he will die. Even Xianyuan Long or Alice cannot compete with Ganjiang and Moi. The only way now is to separate them. 10 yards apart must be the mechanism for the couple sword effect to be triggered. Yes. Xianji and Huang Mao looked at each other and agreed. Ganjiang and Moi, don't worry about those cannon fodders first, kill those 4 immortal kings first. Feng Fa, give them the 2 wind steps. The sword emperor was like a commander in the army, commanding the battle while flying the sword to kill the enemy. Hearing this, Aoshi Feng Fa took action immediately. The next moment, Ganjiang and Moi were both wrapped in a whirlwind under their feet, and their speed soared. Let's go. Immediately, Ganjong and Moi no longer targeted ordinary players of the Water Alliance. The two of them acted together and ran towards Huang Mao and others. The yellow-haired Xianji was quite smart. He knew he was no match for them, so he retreated quickly until Ganjong and Moxia were fighting each other. "No time to explain, sister, don't fight them head-on, find a way to separate them and defeat them separately," the yellow-haired man yelled. If Ganjong and Moxia were separated, no, to be precise, Ganjong's sword and Moxia's sword should be separated, the effect of the couple sword would disappear. At that time, Ganjong and Moxia would lose their dual attribute attacks and become just an ordinary 150 level immortal king. Then, as a 170 level immortal king with the blood of the dragon, Xian Yuanlong would be fully capable of defeating them one by one. Super God Undead Lord. Author, Ba Wang Shi-san. Chapter 407. After a few rounds of fighting, Xian Yuanlong's HP dropped by 10 billion. Even Alice couldn't heal this level of blood loss in a short time. At this time, even if Huang Mao didn't say it, Xian Yuanlong also noticed Ganjong and Moi's abnormal combat power. Will splitting them up weaken their combat power? No matter what, let's try it first. Xian Yuanlong snorted coldly and hit Ganjong with a savage charge. Bang! Ganjong felt like he was hit by a mountain and retreated violently. His feet sank into the ground and a 100-yard gully appeared in an instant, causing smoke and dust to billow. During this period, he even directly killed many Aoshi players, hitting the bull across the mountain and killing them gorgeously. Yang Tian monopolized many resources of the national server and gained countless skill points. In 3 years, he upgraded many skills to LV100. Although Xian Yuanlong was not as abnormal as Yang Tian, she also practiced many skills to a very high level. That is why her savage charge was so powerful. Xian Yuanlong rushed forward with one hand, pushing Ganjong horizontally 100 yards away. Good. Moi remained in the same place, while Ganjong was taken 100 yards away by Xian Yuanlong. Seeing this distance, Huang Mao Xianji couldn't help but smile, but in a flash, the expression on Xianji's face became serious again. When Ganjong and Moi were 10 yards apart, the effect of the couple sword was activated, and Ganjiang's sword and Moi's sword echoed each other, and there was a clear flash of light on the sword. Now, the two swords are 100 yards apart, and the light that echoed each other is still flashing. The next scene seemed to confirm Xianji's idea. Ganjong hit Xian Yuanlong with a heavy blow, and 2 red and white lights swung out, and it was a dual attribute attack of fire and light. With just one move, Xian Yuanlong took away more than 30 billion lives, and Xian Yuanlong's blood bar dropped by about 1/3. How is this possible? Xianji was extremely shocked. Haha. Xianji, I knew you were not an ordinary person. I think you have guessed the effect of the couple sword. Your IQ is really unimaginable, but do you think I will not be on guard? The Sword Emperor was like a hunter who had dug a trap. Now that the prey was caught, he was extremely happy. Be on guard. Xianji was stunned. The special effect of the couple sword does have a distance limit, but 10 yards is just a smoke bomb I deliberately released to confuse you, the Sword Emperor smiled grimly. 10 yards, smoke bomb, Xianji, actually have a day when my IQ is suppressed. Xianji laughed at himself. Previously, Ganjong and Moi were always no more than 10 yards apart, which was deliberately done by the Sword Emperor, with the purpose of confusing Xianji. The upper limit of the distance of the couple sword must be more than 10 yards. Judging from the current situation, it is at least 100 yards. Don't worry, brother, the Sword Emperor set a trap for you, the yellow-haired man suddenly said warmly. Xianji was stunned, and his heart was slightly warmed. Unexpectedly, the yellow-haired man glanced at him and smiled again. However, if the situation is not critical now, to be honest, I am quite happy to see you get humiliated. Xianji. The current situation is indeed critical, especially for Xian Yuan Longer. After losing one-third of her health in one move, Xian Yuan Longer instantly felt a huge threat and turned on the dragon form as a conditioned reflex. Ang. Accompanied by a long dragon roar, Xian Yuan Longer turned into a dragon girl, all attributes doubled, and her real combat power increased by who knows how many times. Swish swish swish. Then the two swords clashed, and Xian Yuan Longer was not at a disadvantage. Under the special effects of the couple's sword, Gan Jiang's combat power is needless to say, and Xian Yuan Longer, once transformed into a dragon, is vaguely equal to him. Fortunately, when two strong men fight, they mostly counter each other's moves, and rarely hit each other directly. Otherwise, the seriously injured will definitely suffer heavy losses. For a while, the battle between Xian Yuan Longer and Gan Jiang fell into a stalemate that was difficult to break. However, this stalemate only lasted for a few seconds before it was broken when Moi arrived at the battlefield. Wow, 2 against 1, our huge water alliance, no one can go up to help. Gan Jiang and Moi besieged Xian Yuan Longer, who was 1 against 2, and finally failed and was hit many times. The people of the Water Alliance looked at the scene and couldn't help sighing. Because of the effect of the couple sword, Gan Jiang and Moi's combat power was off the charts. In terms of combat power alone, they were no longer at the level of the Immortal King. On the Water Alliance side, except for Xian Yuan Longer in the form of a dragon girl who could barely resist, everyone else was just cannon fodder. Fortunately, Xian Yuan Longer's defense is very high, and with the treatment of Sister Alice, she can barely hold on. Someone else said. Dragon transformation, all attributes doubled, including basic defense, protection, resistance, all doubled. Because of this, Xian Yuan Longer's overall defense has doubled by who knows how many times. So even if she was hit by the Gan Jiang sword or the Moi sword, the damage she received was greatly reduced. And as a priest of the Immortal King, Alice could barely heal that kind of damage. But it won't last long. It is said that Xuan Yuan's dragon girl form can only last for 1 minute. After 1 minute, Xian Yuan will not have such a strong defense, and will fall into a weak state for up to 3 minutes. At that time, the opponent can easily cut her to death with one knife. What should we do? The two Immortal King war servants of the Sword Emperor are too perverted, right? Don't you understand? It's not the Immortal King himself that is perverted, but the two immortal weapons, which echo each other and can stimulate the effect of the couple sword. The Sword Emperor just admitted it himself, you idiot. As time passed, the morale of the Water Alliance was shaken, and everyone was restless. Although under Alice's continuous treatment, Xian Yuan Longer in the form of a dragon girl was temporarily fine when facing Gan Jiang Moi, and her health was even close to full. But this is a huge hidden danger. Because the dragon transformation is about to disappear, Xian Yuan Longer will not only have to return to normal, but will also fall into a weak state for up to 3 minutes. If that time really comes, all members of the Water Alliance, including Xian Yuan Longer and Alice, will become the souls under the sword of Gan Jiang Moi. It doesn't matter if all members are demoted, but once the Water Alliance loses Xian Yuan Longer, Alice, Xiao Jin, and Dr. Edith, it will be considered a foundation. There are many strong people in the national server, and Zeus is still eyeing them. Can the Water Alliance maintain the first force in the national server? Yellow-haired Xian Ji, at this moment, also looked dejected and had no way out. They knew that the lover's sword must have a distance limit, which the Sword Emperor had personally admitted, but the Sword Emperor did not reveal how many yards the lover's sword's distance limit was. Through previous attempts, they concluded that the distance limit was at least 100 yards. At least 100 yards. Facing this concept, Huangmao Xianji could only smile bitterly. How could it be easy to separate Ganjiang and Moye by at least 100 yards? The other party was an immortal king, not a baby with the strength to tie a chicken. At this critical moment, everyone on the Water Alliance side couldn't help but think of that man. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 408. At this point, perhaps only he can reverse the situation. Coincidentally, just when the brothers of the Water Alliance missed him, Yang Tian came on the cloud, causing everyone to shout wildly for a while. Brother Shui. The Sword Emperor wants to mess with us, please Brother Shui beat them up. In fact, when Yang Tian saw the news that Aoshi left the Water Alliance, he immediately felt that something was wrong, and quickly teleported to the Water Alliance base and rushed to the battlefield. He went at full speed, leaving Carrie, who was at the level of Spirit King, far behind. Sword Emperor, you finally can't help it. Yang Tian rushed to the battlefield and put on the glazed bone shield for Xian Yuan Longer to relieve Xian Yuan Longer's pressure, and then said with cold eyes. You finally can't help it? Why does this sound so familiar? Isn't this the opening remarks of the yellow-haired boss? The people of the Water Alliance murmured in their hearts, what's wrong with the two of you, full of gay love, I'm afraid you have an affair? Otherwise, how can you be so tacit, even the opening remarks are exactly the same. The winner is the king, the loser is the bandit, muddy water, even if you come now, you can't change anything, Sword Emperor sneered. As far as he knew, Yang Tian only had the blood of the goblin spirit level, and now he was just a spirit king. Even if he was a necromancer, he had no chance of winning against Ganjiang and Moi under the blessing of the couple sword. However, although he felt that Yang Tian had no chance of winning, for some reason, he was still quite trembling in his heart when he saw Yang Tian coming. This was the psychological shadow he had experienced after following Yang Tian for more than a year and being impressed by the latter's demeanor. The winner is the king, the loser is the bandit, it makes sense, but you picked the wrong opponent. Yang Tian's eyes changed, and he roared suddenly. A lion's phantom suddenly appeared behind him and roared with him. Lion's roar. Visible sound waves swept out. The next moment, Ganjiang and Moi, who were besieging Xian Yuan Longer, suddenly froze and stood still, with circles of golden stars spinning above his head. Dizzy. In the early stage, the lion's roar was invincible and controlled the group for 1 to 3 seconds. But now, Yang Tian only used it for 1 second to control the immortal king. However, it was enough. Demon subduing net. Yang Tian suddenly stretched out his hand and shot out spider webs all over the sky, just enough to catch Ganjiang and Moi. Although the demon subduing net has a very large range, there is still a risk of being dodged. That is why Yang Tian used the lion's roar to control it in advance to ensure that there is no mistake. Although he did not know what kind of person Ganjiang and Moi were, under the siege of the two, Xian Yuan Longer's dragon transformation was forced out, which shows that he is extraordinary. That is why he did not allow himself to make any mistakes. Collect. Yang Tian's mind moved, and he saw Ganjiang and Moi strangely overlapped, with dense spider webs wrapped around their bodies, and they were forcibly pulled in front of Yang Tian. Two people, actually, overlapped. Everyone present, including the Sword Emperor and the Aoshi people, was suddenly stunned. Undead transformation, Netherworld assassin. Dragon transformation. Ang. With dazzling brilliance flashing, Yang Tian transformed continuously, and turned into a human-shaped bone dragon, a golden skeleton, and a dragon man form. The golden bone dragon tail swept through the air, blasting the air, and a papa roar sounded. Hiss, everyone in the audience took a breath of cold air, only to feel that Yang Tian's strength was unfathomable, and had reached a level that they could not understand. Throat-slitting. Heart-piercing. Stunning. Stabbing. 3004-932-0321. 4892-039-9310. 1903-940-2022. 2604-303-0200. Ganjong and Moi were controlled by the spider web and could not move, like a human-shaped wooden stake. Yang Tian waved a dagger, madly comboing, and dealt shocking damage. After a set of combos, Ganjong and Mo both fell, and a large number of items exploded in the air, falling down with their bodies. As both are immortal kings, Yang Tian's basic combat power is slightly higher than Xian Yuan Long. In the form of Dragon Man and Dragon Girl, Yang Tian is also slightly higher than Xian Yuan Long. This combat power is about the same as Ganjong and Mo blessed by the couple sword, slightly higher, but unable to cause crushing. If they fight, both sides will release the force on each other, and neither side can kill the other quickly. But before, Ganjong and Mo had been controlled by the spider web and could not move. Yang Tian's combo hit all of them directly, naturally hitting explosive damage, killing the two instantly. Yang Tian rushed to the battlefield, and Ganjong and Mo fell in just a few seconds. No one present reacted, and the whole place was silent, and you could hear a pin drop. The powerful Water Alliance was unilaterally suppressed by Ganjong and Mo, and no one could stand up during the period. However, when Yang Tian came, Ganjong and Mo were instantly killed. Everyone present felt that their brain circuits were not enough and were stunned. After 5 full seconds, thunderous cheers rang out at the scene. Brother Shui is too fierce. The yellow-haired boss is an immortal king. Logically, Brother Shui should also be an immortal king, but an immortal king can kill 2 immortal kings in 1 second. Isn't this too terrifying? Did you see the damage Brother Shui did just now? One knife can do hundreds of billions. It's really humming stupid. Brother Shui is so handsome, marry me. Your father is still your father. The Sword Emperor is confused this time. Everyone, look at his face. Damn, it's worse than eating shit. I'm laughing to death. To be honest, the Sword Emperor is really strong. He is a top-notch warrior in terms of strength, strategy, and patience. He even suppressed the IQ of the boss Xianji at one point, however, as Brother Shui said, he picked the wrong opponent. Brother Shui is too strong, and he can't catch up with him even if he flatters. The people of the Shui League were all ruddy as if they had won a battle. They boasted to their companions about Yang Tian's strength without restraint, and had already deified Yang Tian. Some fangirls, looking at Yang Tian's powerful figure, were overwhelmed with excitement, and they wished they could give birth to a bunch of monkeys with Yang Tian immediately. There were even some sluts who, after winning a battle, mocked the Sword Emperor for being arrogant, which embarrassed the other party. No wonder that kid is so generous, giving you and me the blood of the Holy Dragon and the Immortal Dragon. It turns out that he already has the blood of the Divine Dragon. That kid really likes to hide his shortcomings. He doesn't show off at ordinary times, but always likes to show off at critical moments. The yellow-haired man looked at Yang Tian in the air, rolled his eyes, and said to Xianji, "Brother Huangmao, don't be so ungrateful. I only have the Holy Dragon bloodline now." Xiaofei was unhappy and said aggrievedly, "Yes, he is very good to you. He gave you the Holy Dragon bloodline. I see that you two are both single, so why not get together as a couple?" Shuangro laughed at the side. "Hee, I think it's good." Blue Moon Kitten immediately added the knife. "Wow, you rotten girls are really scary, but we are both steel straight men, you can't bend us," Huang Mao affirmed. Looking at the people playing, Xianji just smiled faintly, looked up and stared at Yang Tian in a trance. He knew that Yang Tian was an awakener. According to Yang Tian, there are more than 1 or 2 awakeners, but many. Out of curiosity about the future, he is more and more willing to see Yang Tian grow up. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Super God Undead Lord. Author, Ba Wang Shi San. Chapter 409. Yang Tian landed slowly, picked up the Ganjiang sword and MOCS sword, and after a quick glance, he understood the power of the couple sword. He laughed at himself and said to the Sword Emperor, "Sword Emperor, these two swords are a perfect match for you." After that, he threw the sword to the Sword Emperor. The Sword Emperor quickly caught it, with a look of shock on his face, and still couldn't believe it. At this point, you still gave me these two swords. Brother Shui is generous, but this is too generous. Two immortal weapons, handed over to others, and they were given to the traitor Sword Emperor. Everyone in the Water Alliance was shocked. Yang Tian smiled, without comment, and said, "Swords match heroes, why not?" "Of course, but we are enemies. Aren't you afraid that I will make a comeback one day?" the Sword Emperor said with a struggling face. Yang Tian smiled and said, "That's exactly what I expect. In the future, when we fight in foreign servers, our Chinese theater needs more strong people to stand up." The Sword Emperor was stunned and felt ashamed. His ambition and vision have always been to be the best in the country, but Yang Tian has set his sights on the world. He immediately knew that he was no longer a match for the man in front of him. Retreat. When Yang Tian instantly killed Ganjiang and Mo Ye, the battle had already ended. Even if the Sword Emperor fought hard, he would not gain anything and would suffer heavy losses. Yang Tian's gift of the sword made him lose the idea of fighting again. After a long silence, the people finally left. In contrast, the people of the Water Alliance cheered for victory. When the Sword Emperor led his people away, Yang Tian lifted the dragon transformation and felt weak immediately. Yang Tian called out the attribute panel and found that all his attributes had turned dangerous red, down to 20% of the original. Double the attributes for 1 minute, weak for 3 minutes, the skill of dragon transformation is really extreme. Yang Tian was secretly shocked. Taking advantage of the few minutes of weakness, Yang Tian chatted with everyone, and then set out on the journey again. This time he brought Xiao Jin and Dr. Edith with him. "This guy, as the leader of the alliance, doesn't he have to take care of anything?" Huang Mao complained, and disappeared in a blink of an eye, leaving all the affairs of the Water Alliance to Xian Ji to handle. How dare he say that about others? The people who stayed behind rolled their eyes. Before Yang Tian and others left the island, they were caught up by Huang Mao. Yang Tian said, "Why did you follow me?" Huang Mao smiled and said, "I want to see what you do, your strength is improving so fast." Yang Tian smiled and didn't drive him away. He said, "You can follow me. Next, I plan to give you a 3-color spiritual weapon." As he said that, Yang Tian took out a weapon fragment that he had treasured for 2 years. Soul Sword, Gold Equipment/Hero Fragment. Level 20. Equipment Type, Night Dagger. Physical attack power at 1500-2000. Strength add 1000. Stamina add 1000. Ice Attribute Attack. Ice Strength add 200, Ice Resistance add 500. Additional skills, Ice Dragon Break. Remarks, Hero Fragment, completion 1/4. This Ice Soul Sword fragment was dropped by Yang Tian when he killed the hero Dixie in the hero version of 10,000 Years Snow Mountain 2 years ago. At that time, Yang Tian decided to forge a complete Ice Soul Sword and give it to Huang Mao. Now that the Soul Exploration instrument is in hand, the opportunity has finally come. "Wow, you are so embarrassed to take out such outdated equipment, Hero Fragments." The yellow-haired man glanced at the Ice Soul Sword fragments and laughed at Yang Tian at a very fast speed. When he saw that the latter was a hero fragment, he was suddenly stunned. "Yellow-haired, do you know the relationship between heroes and hero equipment?" Yang Tian asked with a smile. "Well, I vaguely know a little bit." The yellow-haired man said, "It is said that heroes are people with outstanding military exploits during their lifetime and are praised as heroes after their death. And hero equipment is considered the hero's natal equipment. Each piece is extraordinary. When the hero dies in battle, it is separated into fragments. After the fragments with the same name are collected, they are automatically merged into hero equipment. You are right, but the heroes were not only outstanding in their military exploits during their lifetime. They were all above the Spirit King and had extraordinary combat power. And their natal equipment, that is, hero equipment, is actually above the spirit weapon, Yang Tian said with a smile. I see. If that's the case, then every hero fragment is extraordinary. Once collected, they are at least spiritual weapons. Huang Mao was slightly shocked, and then, his eyes looking at the Bingpo sword unconsciously became hot. Damn, this is a hero fragment, and it's a knight's dagger, just right for me to use. Sensing Huang Mao's eyes, Yang Tian smiled, threw the Bingpo sword fragment to him, and said, I got this fragment 2 years ago, and wanted to give it to you, but I'm afraid you won't look down on it. Now it's good, I can find each fragment and cast it into a complete Bingpo sword, which is a 3-color spiritual weapon. How to find it? Huang Mao was stunned again. Yang Tian was used to wagging his tail like a dragon, and rarely acted with them, and every time Yang Tian appeared, his strength became very terrifying. Huang Mao couldn't help but feel that this kid was becoming more and more mysterious, making him more and more difficult to see through. Yang Tian smiled and didn't answer, but took out the soul exploration instrument. Yang Tian had already recorded the information of the soul sword fragments on the soul exploration instrument in advance. He stretched out his hand and pointed, and 3 small flashing red dots suddenly appeared on the small screen of the instrument. Dr. has not been completely idle recently. Although the soul exploration instrument has been completed, science must always keep up with the progress of the times, otherwise it will be eliminated and outdated. Dr. knows this truth very well, and he is still constantly improving and upgrading the instrument. The previous instrument could only locate the heroic souls one by one, but now it can locate them all at once. The Ice Dragon Knight, Dixie, was a spirit king above level 120 when he was alive, with 1 soul and 3 spirits. One of the heroic spirits, Xiaojin, had already swallowed it. What is this? Huang Mao said in surprise. The soul exploration instrument. Through this, you can search for the coordinates of various heroic souls. Even if you have a heroic soul or a heroic fragment, you can also locate it in a targeted manner, Yang Tian explained briefly, carefully observing the map, and found that the remaining 3 souls of Dixie were all in the Xinwu Empire. Yang Tian was not surprised, because Dixie was a general of the Xinwu Empire when he was alive. Let's go. Yang Tian took Xiaojin and Dr. and teleported directly to the Xinwu Empire. This is because the Water Alliance has already placed multiple teleportation arrays in the Xinwu Empire, all in the wild area. Because the main city of the empire is a huge teleportation array for the people of the empire. Since you are a person of the empire, if you want to come to the main city, just teleport. If you are not a person of the empire, then I am sorry, the empire will not provide you with any convenience. No personal or any other forces teleportation array is allowed to be placed in the main city, otherwise it will be ruthlessly cleared by the empire. Hey, wait for me, Huang Mao complained and teleported over quickly. Super God Undead Lord. Author, B.A. Wang Shi-san. Chapter 410. Next, Yang Tian and the 4 of them acted together. In less than half a day, he killed 2 heroic souls in Dixie and obtained 2 dead souls and 2 soul sword fragments. Xiaojin swallowed the dead soul, and Huang Mao took away the 2 fragments. Hey, the hero is not as strong as you think, Huang Mao said. Yang Tian rolled his eyes fiercely and said, nonsense, what kind of strength are you now, level 165 Immortal King? Not to mention Dixie's soul, even if Dixie himself is standing here, he is no match for you. Complaints are complaints, and Yang Tian himself feels relaxed. 2 years ago, it took a lot of effort to kill a hero's soul, but now it's so easy to kill him instantly. Dixie's last heroic spirit is located in the main city. Let's go into the city together. System, you discovered Kinja City. Yang Tian and others were very fast, and soon they arrived at the noisy main city. There are about 100 cities of various sizes in the Xinyu Empire, including 20 main cities and 80 outer cities. The main city is the founding core of the Xinyu Empire, with levels ranging from level 10 to level 200, and the terrain is also connected in a straight line. If a war breaks out, the empire can provide support as quickly as possible. For example, if Yang Tian captures a main city, that main city will be owned by Yang Tian or the empire where Yang Tian is located. In other words, the captured main city is no longer the resources and property of the Xinyu Empire, and people from the Xinyu Empire cannot teleport to that main city. What to do? It doesn't matter, the 20 main cities of the Xinyu Empire are connected in a line and are military fortresses. Even if the teleportation cannot be carried out, the empire can respond quickly and send troops to seize the city. Therefore, it is difficult to capture a main city, and it is even more difficult to defend a main city. As for the more than 80 outer cities, the terrain is scattered. Compared with the main city connected in a line, they belong to remote areas of the empire. Because those outer cities were snatched from other empires after the Xinyu Empire was established. The empire also managed the captured cities very well, but they were never as good as the main city. After glancing at the flashing red dot on the instrument screen, and using the map of Kinja City, Yang Tian roughly locked the position and led the people to continue moving forward. Huang Mao seemed to dislike Yang Tian and others for walking too slowly, so he stood up and flew into the air, preparing to complete the Ice Soul Sword efficiently. Unexpectedly, Yang Tian pulled him down. "What's wrong with you?" Huang Mao fell to the ground in a panic and said depressedly. "Oh, I forgot to tell you, because of one thing, we are wanted by the Xinyu Empire. It's okay to just blend in with the crowd. If we fly in the air, we will be easily discovered," Yang Tian said. Some time ago, Yang Tian and others killed Zhang Yun, the lord of the outer city, and were subsequently wanted by the empire. Huang Mao didn't believe it at first, but when he took a casual look, he saw that the surrounding walls were covered with wanted posters for Yang Tian, Xianyuan Long Alice, Dr. Edith, and others. At first, because of Dr. Edith's relationship, the Xinyu Empire did not plan to arrest Yang Tian and others, and even planned to reconcile and recruit them. However, because of the existence of Xianyuan Long the Xinyu Empire was completely hostile to their group, and even Dr. Edith wanted to kill them. "It's okay, I'm not wanted. Leave it to me and I guarantee a quick victory," Huang Mao grinned. He has the blood of the Holy Dragon and is now a level 165 Immortal King. His strength is not weak and he is absolutely sure to win Dixie's last heroic soul. Don't make trouble. This is the main city of the empire after all, so it's better to be safe. If I had known you were jumping like this, I wouldn't have brought you here, Yang Tian scolded. Huang Mao immediately raised his hands and surrendered. "Okay, you are the boss, I will listen to you." After holding down Huang Mao, Yang Tian and his party moved forward smoothly. After a while, everyone finally stopped at the city lord's mansion, and Huang Mao was startled. "Damn it, why is Dixie's ghost in the city lord's mansion?" Huang Mao couldn't understand and cursed in a low voice. "Now you know you are cowardly? Your grandma, if I had known earlier, I would have let you go first. You have to be tortured once before you will be honest," Yang Tian scolded with a smile. Huang Mao was immediately clearly arranged and could only smile bitterly. The city lord's mansion was heavily guarded, with heavily armored guards at the gate and guards patrolling the surrounding areas. Yang Tian and the others did not dare to act rashly, lest they startle the enemy. After a while, Yang Tian took back Xiajin and Dr. Addis, transformed into a ghost assassin, started sneaking, and his body suddenly disappeared into the shadows. "Just wait here honestly," Yang Tian whispered, then climbed over the wall and stepped into the city lord's mansion. "Don't underestimate me." Huang Mao summoned the shadow wolf at the same time, jumped up, and both parties sneaked together. The shadow wolf is the war pet of the Lord and can sneak with its owner. Of course, it will act once it is attacked. This is the same as the assassin's stealth, except that it can bring one more person with it. Shadow Wolf was also a lord after all. With one easy leap, he took Huang Mao over the city wall and stood side by side with Yang Tian in the mansion. This mount is good. Both parties are members of the Water Alliance, and each can see the other sneaking. Yang Tian looked at Huang Mao and Shadow Wolf in the shadow, and praised slightly. It's okay. As a knight of the immortal king, I want a spiritual beast mount even more, Huang Mao said with a smile. All spirit beast mounts have the ability to fly. As a knight, Huang Mao fights with his mount and can use many combination skills. Even when the knight rides on the mount, he will have 10% of the basic attack power. Now Huang Mao is already the immortal king, and his strength is getting stronger and stronger. The opponent who can make him serious is at least the Spirit King and Immortal King. Facing that kind of enemy, without a spiritual beast mount, he would be at a disadvantage. Huang Mao has many mounts, the strongest of which is the Lion King of Light. But the Lion King of Light is only a royal beast. 2 years ago, Huang Mao rode on the Lion King of Light and became even more powerful, but now the Lion King of Light can no longer keep up with him. Don't worry, your wish will come true soon, Yang Tian said affirmatively, and then he went forward with Huang Mao. There are caves, gardens, martial arts training grounds, ponds, and everything in the city lord's mansion, just like a fairyland on earth. Ha! Hey! Ha! The sound of guards practicing martial arts came from the martial arts training ground in front, but Yang Tian and Huang Mao walked past them without them noticing. Not long after, Yang Tian and Huang Mao sneaked into the living room of the main hall. It's here, Yang Tian said to Huang Mao in an affirmative tone. Huang Mao looked up and saw 2 generals sitting at the table in the middle of the living room, drinking tea and chatting. One of them had the rank of marshal, and he was the lord of Qinzhou City. The other one is a general, and is the deputy city lord of Qinzhou City. It is him. The last heroic soul of Dixie and the last fragment of Bingpo sword are in the hands of that deputy city lord, Yang Tian said. Why is it like this? Huang Mao still finds it hard to understand. Stupid, he just killed Dixie's heroic soul. Don't think that we are the only ones who can find the heroic dead soul, Yang Tian sneered.